Have you ever held a piece of your life in your hand? Something so familiar it feels like an extension of yourself, only to watch it reveal a truth so ugly it splits your world in two. The screen of my wife's phone glowed in the dark of our Chicago bedroom, a sleek black rectangle of lies. It was 2:17 a.m. She was asleep, breathing softly beside me, the picture of innocence. But the phone, which she'd left on her nightstand, buzzed with a call from a number I didn't recognize. My hand moved on its own, a reflex born of a tiny, splinter-sized doubt that had been growing for months. I answered, pressing the cold glass to my ear, and said nothing. For 3 full seconds, there was only silence on the other end. Then, a man's voice, low and impatient, whispered a single word that shattered everything. He whispered her name, Jenna. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The sound of her name, spoken with such intimacy by a stranger in the dead of night, was the starting pistol for the end of my world. I ended the call before he could say more, my thumb hovering over the screen. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs. Jenna hadn't stirred. For 10 years, she was the center of my universe. We'd built a life within the towering steel and glass canyons of downtown Chicago. Our apartment overlooked Millennium Park, the city lights a glittering promise we thought was ours forever. Now, that promise felt like a sick joke. The strange behavior, the late work nights, the way she started guarding her phone like it was a state secret all clicked into place. It wasn't just paranoia, it was intuition. She was cheating. The humiliation washed over me first, hot and suffocating. I was the loyal husband, the provider, the man who thought he had it all, and I was a fool. Over the next few weeks, I became a ghost in my own home. I watched her, this woman I thought I knew, transform into a stranger. She became cold, distant, her affection a performance she only put on when she wanted something. The small discoveries were like 1,000 paper cuts. A credit card receipt for a dinner for 2 at a pricey restaurant on Rush Street I'd never been to. A faint scent of a man's cologne on her scarf that wasn't mine. Then came the texts. She'd delete them religiously, but she got careless one evening. While she was in the shower, I saw a preview on her lock screen from Mark. It said, "Tonight was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you." Mark. He had a name now. They felt untouchable, wrapped in their bubble of deceit while I was on the outside looking in, my life crumbling around me. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I came home early, wanting to surprise her. I found her in the living room on the phone, her back to me. Her voice was different, soft, laughing, a voice I hadn't heard directed at me in years. "I miss you too," she purred. "He has no idea. He's so wrapped up in his own world, he wouldn't notice if the sky fell." Then she laughed, a cruel, dismissive sound that echoed in the sudden silence of the apartment. She'd seen my reflection in the window. The mask slammed back into place. "I have to go," she snapped into the phone, her eyes narrowing at me. It was a client, but the lie was thin, brittle. In that moment, something inside me broke. The love, the hope, the pain, it all shattered and reformed into something cold and hard. It was time to stop being the victim. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop who operated out of a small office in the Loop. I gave him Mark's name and a photo of Jenna. It didn't take long. Mark was a partner at a competing firm, a man I'd shaken hands with at industry events. The Pi delivered a folder full of evidence that made my stomach turn. Photos of them kissing in a hotel parking lot near O'Hare. Check-in records from the peninsula. Copies of their intimate texts. They weren't just careless. They were arrogant. I took the folder and locked it in a safe. Then, I went to see a divorce attorney, the most ruthless one I could find. We laid the traps. I started moving assets, securing my finances, and documenting every single lie Jenna told me. I played the part of the oblivious, heartbroken husband, letting her believe she was in complete control. Her arrogance was my greatest weapon. The final act was set for our anniversary dinner. I booked a private room at a restaurant where we had our first date, a place full of ghosts. I invited her parents and our closest friends, telling them it was a surprise celebration. Jenna arrived, radiant and smug, thinking this was my desperate attempt to win her back. She sat at the head of the table, soaking in the attention. I stood up to make a toast. I started by talking about love, trust, and 10 years of marriage. Then my tone shifted. I looked directly at her and said, "But it seems my definition of loyalty is different from my wife's." I pulled out a small projector and aimed it at the blank wall. The first image that appeared was a photo of her and Mark, kissing. A collective gasp filled the room. Her face went white. Click to the next slide, a hotel receipt with her signature. Then a screenshot of their texts. Her parents stared in horror. Her friends looked away, ashamed. She tried to stand, to run, but she was trapped. I let the slideshow play, a silent, brutal testament to her betrayal. When it was over, I dropped a stack of papers in front of her. "Those are the divorce papers," I said, my voice devoid of all emotion. "I've already filed. Our joint accounts are frozen. The apartment is in my name only. Your things are in storage." Her mother was sobbing. Her father just looked at me, then at his daughter, with utter disgust. Jenna just sat there, utterly, completely destroyed. Her social world was incinerated. Her financial security was gone. Her family was shattered. She had nothing left. I turned and walked out of the room without a backward glance, leaving her to drown in the ruins of the life she had torched. The last I heard, she was living in a small apartment out in the suburbs. Mark had been fired after the scandal hit their firm. I never saw her again. Sometimes late at night, when the city is quiet, I think about that phone call. I think about the silence on the other end of the line, and the single word that followed. It wasn't just a name. It was the sound of my future breaking, and the quiet, cold beginning of my revenge.